Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you've had a super fantastic, sparkling, thankful Thursday. So, my brain is so drained right now. We just had the 60th celebration for IGHR, which those of you don't know what it stands for, Institute of Genealogy Historical Research. And we got to play this trivia game, and we used some app that they could they had the question up on the screen and we could answer on our phone or some other device, as long as it wasn't the computer. And it was very interesting to play. And think back to those mainly sports bars that you go into and you get the little pads that you can play games on and stuff, and they put the questions up on the big screen and you try and answer the question as fast as you can. That was what it was. It was a trivia game played that way. It was very interesting because my mouth would say one thing and my finger would hit a different answer. Out of 35 questions, I got 9 right. Out of the other questions that I did not get right, probably about half of them, the mouth said one thing, the finger said another, and the mouth was correct. I'm not sure how that worked. But I would say the answer, at least I got the James Bond question correct. I did get they had one James Bond question in there, and I did get it correct. I thought, heaven help me if I get it wrong. Yes, they had a James Bond question in there, and thankfully I got that one correct. But that was one of my 9. But yeah, so it was really weird because I go, there'll be, like, one of them was which jazz singer was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1962, and the correct answer was Miles Davis, and I said that, and my finger hit Louis Armstrong. And as soon as I hit it, I'm like, no, it was meant to be Miles Davis, come on, get your shit together. And I was just like, what the heck? So I was sort of like, I don't know what's going on in my brain, but my mouth and my fingers were not communicating very. So the brain was putting one answer through my mouth, and my finger, for whatever reason, had a mind of its own. It would click another answer, like, I know better. Like the finger thought it knew better. Not in this case. So, but it was still a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Some of the questions they came up with, some were genealogical questions, some were history questions, some were American history questions, like sports questions that I had absolutely no clue about. So I was just sort of like, I'll just pick this one here. And then my mouth would go, it's actually this one. That was the other time that it was reversed. Most of the time the mouth said something first and then the finger did something different. But there were a couple of times on the sports questions when the finger did something different and the mouth then went, nope, that's the wrong answer. It should have been that one. And you can't go change it. So it was a very interesting. But then I thought, my brain is very, very tired. It's had a very long week. What did we cover today? We had a lot of fun today. We did. We had, let's see, the internet has gone out so far. It went out 7 times yesterday. Today it went out 9 times so far today. 9 times today. And I even recorded the times that it went out. And they came back to me and said, you've used this many gigabytes this month. And I'm like, that doesn't answer my question. Well, that answers one of my questions. My other question is, where do I go to find out this information? Because if I go to the IP address, it doesn't show me. Or maybe it doesn't. I didn't recognize it because I couldn't see anything that showed how many gigabytes I had used. And it doesn't solve my issue of we're supposed to be, and the internet's been going very, very slow. And I'm like, okay, we're supposed to be getting 12.5 megabytes. I'm not getting anywhere near that. But if you want to upgrade to 25 megabytes, it's another $5 a month. I thought, I ain't upgrading until you give me what I'm supposed to be getting. Then I'll think about upgrading. And they'll probably tell me, well, if you upgrade, you'll get it faster. Yeah, no, you're not even giving me what I'm supposed to be getting. And then, and I said, and you also haven't addressed the issue as to why why the internet is going into no service so often. I said 7 times yesterday, and I said, and when I replied back to the email, I says, we're now up to 8 times and counting today. And so, yeah, I still haven't heard back from them on that one. But hey, at least I did hear back from someone. So for that, I was grateful. I did hear back from someone today, which was good. So today we covered, let's see, it was day 4 today. This was a good day. We had wills today, with or without word probate, which was very interesting about what you can find out about wills and what was included on wills and what wasn't included on wills. And if somebody was left off a will, it could be because they were a female, and if it was the wife, they were getting back their dowry, and that was it. Because a lot of times it was worth more than whatever the husband was leaving, or he may have already given his kids, like divided up some property beforehand and given it to the kids, and the will just addressed those that are already left over. Or it could be because of the way the law was in the state or the county or whatever, that it could be that the reason that the oldest child is not mentioned in the will is because they automatically inherit everything because they are the oldest son. This is back in the 1800s we're looking at. And then it was a case of you're getting you're automatically getting everything because you're the oldest son, and that's who everything goes to according to law. But over here, I want these kids to get this, this, and this. Or I want my wife to get this, and that sort of thing. So it was very interesting as to what you would find in a will and what you won't find in a will. And then we're talking about testate and intestate, and handwritten wills, and deathbed wills, and it was just a very fascinating topic. And then surprisingly enough, we talked tax, and I was like, taxes, bane of my existence. But we talked about taxes, and it was interesting to see what stories you can find from taxes. Like, when kids reach a certain age, especially the male children, the father would start having to pay taxes per head of children that have reached a certain age, either 16 or 21. Like, what the heck? And then at the age of 21, the sons would start appearing on the tax returns. Girls didn't get taxed, only the guys. Just saying. So that was very interesting. It's more interesting than I thought it would be. Probates, I was interested in. Taxes, also like, taxes, really? Okay, what can I learn from tax return, and where can I find them? And so that was pretty cool. Then we had a section on using genealogical evidence, and I have to say this one I struggled with a lot today, because one of the first things the presenter had, and he was one of the guest presenters we had in, was everybody should turn off your camera. I'm like sitting there thinking, hell no. I'm a person that if I am in a class, I am on camera unless I have to get up for whatever reason. Then I turn the camera off, and then I turn it back on as soon as I sit back down. But if I don't have the camera on, I don't pay attention very well. I struggled through this entire section, which is one of our most important sections, because it's all about what evidence have you gathered? Is it primary evidence? Is it, what are our terms we had to learn today? Is it, who was the person that, was it given by the primary person? Was it given by somebody else? Where did the source of the information come from? Was it direct? Was it indirect? Was it a negative evidence? You had all these things that you had to combine it with, and we're talking about the genealogical standards, which are in this cute little book, in plain English. I love the standards book because it's written in plain English, and not in legalese, which I love. And about all the different proofs that you have to do, and all of this in order to prove. You start with your research question, and now you have to go and prove or disprove you have to go find the answers for your research question. So it could be like, who are the parents of John Smith, born in 1829 in Louisville, Kentucky? Just off the top of my head. And so now you got to go and find all the information you can on John Smith in Louisville, Kentucky, that was born around that time, and find out who the parents are and what evidence do you have to answer that question. And this is where you come up with all these research logs and tables, and then you got to put it all together into a written answer. But I did struggle a lot during that session, because he wanted us to have our cameras off. This is the struggle I had in January when the entire week our cameras were not allowed to be on during the lectures, the presentations. They had to be off. And we were doing sources. The whole week was on citations and sources and evidence, and so it was a very long, very arduous week, very taxing on the brain, especially having to have the cameras off because shiny syndrome girl. I can't even get it out. Shiny syndrome girl here. So when I'm not on camera, to me it's like, oh, I can go do this, I can go do that, and I can check my phone, and I can go on social media, and I can answer this question, and I can answer this question, and do my emails, I can work on this, I can work on that. Let me go research this, or let me go research that. And I'm not really paying attention to what's going on in the classroom because I'm not on camera, so I'm not present. In order for me to be present, I have to be on the camera. If you've got me in a virtual class, I have to be on camera in order to be present and to learn. Because when I'm on camera, everybody can see what you're doing. So you're kind of forced to pay attention and to be present. But if you're not on camera, nobody can see what you're doing. So what does it matter if you're sitting back and getting up and walking around and playing with the dog, and you're still listening to what's going on, but you're not really present. So I struggled with that section today, and then he went overtime. And most of the time, when I find instructors go overtime, it's because the cameras are off. There's only one presentation that I have seen where cameras had to be off, where the speaker finished early. And that was because she obviously had a timer in front of her. She knew what she was talking about, and she stayed on point and focused the entire presentation. Plus, she's a born storyteller. And so she just had this fascinating story about how she did the research for this person that she was doing the research on, and what her findings were, how she found it, what the sources were, where the citations came from, all of it. It was all put into one beautifully neat story, and it was obviously that she had told this story before. There was no ums and ers in there. There was no breaks in her presentation. It was a flawless presentation. Now, on her side, she may have been, oh, damn, I forgot to mention this. I may have forgotten to mention it. Those little voices going off in your head. But it came across in a perfect presentation. And that's because I felt that she knew exactly what she was going to say. And she obviously had a timer set up because she says, look, I'm giving you back 5 minutes. Are there any questions? We've got 5 minutes for questions. And she cut us off at that 5 minutes. She wasn't going to go over. But every time I have had she is the only exception to the one that every time I've had cameras off, they never finish on time because they're not getting that feedback. Yes, we've had presenters go over with cameras on this week. But more often than not, those with the cameras off go over. So that was interesting. Then when they changed our schedule, so the one we were meant to do, one of the classes we were meant to do tomorrow, or that we were meant to do today, we're now doing tomorrow, which I'm kind of interested in because I was looking forward to that one. And that was for the DNA. So tomorrow we get to do DNA. This afternoon we had a really fun interactive thing. We were given the question, and it was one that our instructor had already researched, so she already had the answers ready for us. She took us to the site, to the sources, and showed us where she got certain information from. Showed us her research table when she's comparing information and putting it in a timeline and everything. Basically taking us step by step. Here is the question. Where do we go to find what information do we need to look at to establish this, to be able to answer this question? What are some of the things that we can look, some of the files we can go research and everything else? Where do we go to find this information? And then taking us step by step through the process. It was so much fun. It was very interactive and a lot of fun. I loved it. And our homework tonight is we have to go find out how many children, because at one point it said that there was 12 children, but he had 2 wives. So how many did he have with the first wife? How many did he have with the second wife? What is the birth order of the children? And which children belong to which mother? So that's what we have to go and find for our homework tonight. So I'm sort of like, well, that could be fun. But she says we didn't have to do it as homework tonight. We could do it tomorrow, because we're going to be going over tomorrow anyway, in part 2 of the one that we did this afternoon. So and then we had the celebration of 60 years. It was awesome. They had this really cool video at the front, and because of my internet connection, I missed the first 5 minutes of the video of the welcome to the event and the beginning of the video presentation. Thankfully, they have recorded it, so I'll be able to go back and watch those 5 minutes that I missed at the beginning because I had no internet connection. But it was videos of different people who have been with who have been presenters at IGHR for a number of years, or been participants for a number of years, and they had questions that they had to answer about, where IGHR came from, what it's been going through, and what they're hoping for the future. So it was a really cool video, and that somebody had taken a lot of time to put together, and had done these interviews and compiled all these interviews and everything else, and split them up into the different questions, with each person answering the different questions and stuff, and made this beautiful video. And then she's also gone and done a timeline on a website where we can go and see the timeline of 60 years of IGHR. And they were showing us snippets of it this afternoon. I thought, that is so cool. And so that she had gone through and spent a lot of time putting this thing together with the history of IGHR. So I want to go back and have a look at that, because it looked, the little bits that they showed us online tonight, on the Zoom tonight, was awesome. And then they did all their door prizes and all that, because they had a competition where, here are the baby pictures of our faculty, here are today's pictures of our faculty, match them. And they had like 21, and the winner got 12 out of the 21 correct. So, and it was very interesting. It was interesting. And one of them, I was sort of like, well, if you just blow up that picture there, you can see his name tag, because he was in his military uniform. You could see his name tag on his fatigue. So you could have just blown the picture up and gone. And then just that should have been an easy one. Everybody should have got that one, if they had thought to do that. So yeah. And then what else did we do tonight? And then we had how many relatives did you connect with this week? And this is where we've got this relative finder thing. We're in a group for IGHR, and you go in there and it says, out of all of the people who have put their names in, you're matched with all of these people who are related to you in some way, who may be related to you. So one of the girls in there, and I think her and I are supposed to be like 13th or 14th cousins or something, but she had like 75 matches. She sent out 60 emails to all of them, and had like 48 responses or something. And I was just like, cool. And she's actually in my class. Her and I were in the same class last year, and we're in the same class again this year. So I was happy for it, because she was in there, and she was determined that she was going to get as many responses as possible. And she got out there and she did it. So that was kind of cool. So it's been a very, despite the internet challenges, despite the class challenge with the camera being off, overall, it was a really good day. Zephy and I had a great walk at lunchtime. She is so funny. Every time we head out, she wants to go left. If I'm in the driver's seat as far as where we're going to walk, like morning and lunchtime, I tell her which direction she can go. At night, she gets free range. So at night, she, every morning she goes out, she goes to the left. And I go, nope, right. And I go, Zephy, right. And she'll just turn and start going to the right. Sometimes you got to repeat right a couple of times. And then she's sort of like, and you almost see her go, like, she's like, we're going for our walk. And she starts going to the left. I go, no, right. And she kind of takes a couple other paces. And I go, right. And you sort of see her go. So you see her whole demeanor just change. I got to go to the right. And I was like, you know the rules. At night you get to go. And she's really funny. We went on this really circular zigzag route last night. Like, we went left. We get to the main road that goes up and down in the middle of the park. And she goes to the left. Then we take the first right. Then we get to the end of that street, and she goes left. And then we walk around, and then she comes back down the middle street. Normally she goes straight ahead. So this time she comes back down the middle street, and then she takes a right down one of the side roads, and then she loops around on the then she takes a right, which brings us back across the top road of the thing, and then we go back down the middle, and then she keeps going on down the middle till we can go as far as we can, and then she goes to the right, and then we go all the way down that street, and then we come, then of course we have to take another right because we can't go left, so we take another right, and then we come back. So she took us on this very long circular route last night. It was hilarious. But it's only like 90 degrees or something outside. It's been very cool today. It's been double digits only today. We had a little bit of rain earlier today. It was like, yay. It was really funny because I was so tired at the end of our thing. I thought, right, I'm just going to go lay down real quick and just take a quick power nap. And so I just laid down on the bed, gotten all comfy, and next thing I hear is as the rain, it doesn't do the singing thing, I just had the music, starts falling on the roof, and I'm like, seriously, you waited until I was comfortable. I was laying on the bed, I was comfortable, I was snuggled down. Zeffie had just come in and snuggled up with me, and when she snuggles up next to my pillow, and we'll put her head on my pillow sometimes, and other times she just put her head next to it. But I can easily reach up and just give her scratches. And then she'll like nudge the blanket. And that means that she wants me to pick it up and throw it over her. So, but we'd just done that, and we're snuggled down there and laying quietly. And the next thing you hear is this pip, 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 as a little bit of rain comes through. And yet we're still getting flood alerts and warnings and all of this sort of stuff. But here in our little portion, yeah, we're still not getting enough rain. We haven't had any thunderstorms come through yet. And the internet cannot blame the weather, because whenever it's gone down, it has been clear, blue skies. You can go out there and you can do a 360-degree look, and not a cloud can be seen anywhere. So they can't turn around and say, "Oh, it's because of the weather." No. So they're going to have to come up with another excuse as to why we are having such issues with the internet. But, despite all of that, it's been a really good day. Although I did find out a friend had passed away. She went into hospice care about a month ago, and there was a post today stating that she had passed away yesterday. So that was a little sad point. But at the same time, extremely grateful because she was a walking medical miracle. So I can say she had a very rare, very, very rare form of cancer. And she had such a servant's heart, and she gave a lot to everybody, helped people through challenges they were going through with the medical teams and stuff. She helped Brad and I form our team in San Diego, and she was always there with words of encouragement for us. And if we had any issues or anything, we'd just give her, on the medical side of things, we'll give her a call, and she'd give us what advice to do next and that sort of stuff. Yeah, she lived a long, long time with the rare cancer that she had. She lived well beyond what she should have. So she was a walking medical miracle. And she announced last month that she was going on to hospice, and she wouldn't be posting anymore. And then one of her daughters posted today that she had passed away yesterday. So that was at the same time, it was sad to hear that she had passed. But, she had lived a very full life, helped a ton of people, and her legacy is going to live on in all the lives that she has touched, and the help and advice that she gave them over the years. So, yeah. But she's at peace now, and for that I'm grateful. So with that, I'm going to get out of here, go to get changed, take the Genealogy in here. We're in a sparkles today. Go get changed. Oh, I was hoping it would rain tonight or have been raining when we went for our walk, because I got rain boots today. Because there's a lot of times that there's a lot of surface flooding around here, and my sneakers get too wet, and I'm like, yeah, no. And then I've got to put my tramping boots on and just lacing them up. I'm like, I got to get me some rain boots. And so my rain boots they're black with colored polka dots. And they're actually very comfy. I tried them on and they fitted perfectly. And but I don't think the ground is wet enough out there for me to worry about because we didn't get enough rain to cause any surface flooding or anything like that. So I won't be walking in them tonight. But they're pretty cool. But anyway, go hug those that you love and tell them you love them. If you can't hug them, at least call them and let them know that you love them, or text them. But just be grateful for be grateful for life. Be grateful for the experiences that you have. And we will catch you guys tomorrow for Fun Friday. Yay! I got class in the morning and then I'm on the help desk in the afternoon. It's gonna be a weird day tomorrow. But go out there, have a very fulfilled, super fantastic, sparkling evening. Count your blessings and be thankful for them all. Hei konera.